Next on the track, the rarely run women's 2,000 metres.
And I don't think it's a bad thing, you know, when you're leading up the Olympics. 1,500-metre runners don't always want to run a 1,500 every week, and a chance to try a little bit over distance here for Jess Hull. Stunning performance, 3:50 in bits. She would never have believed that was possible at 1,500. Chased Kipyegon all the way, who broke the world record. And I'm not sure that Kipyegon would have broken the world record, because when she kept looking behind in the back straight, she saw Hull was still there, followed by some quick times behind. McLean, the American, will have the job of setting a pace here through 1,500, maybe even to the mile. McGeehan was in that race, the new European champion, but a long way back. She ran a season's best at 3:58, but it's similarly to the men's 800, the times being rewritten. Corey McGee will be hoping she can make up for some disappointment at the American Championships. Guillemot of France, well, she ran a new French record, and that stood for quite a long time, I think since 2009, Dahiba Hein. So, or Hein Dahiba. Watch out for Griffith. She will follow Jess Hull, her teammate, I'm pretty sure here. And Melissa Courtney-Bryant, another to have been disappointed not to make the British team for the Olympics. And on the inside, Lucia Stafford and Maria Pierre-Fernandez. So 5 laps of the track, exactly. A bit unusual distance, but when you think about it, it's, you know, it's not a 1,500 plus a lap. It's a bit like when people say the mile is the same as a 1,500. That's a fair bit further. This is a long way further. This is 30% beyond that. And the world record, which has been mooted, I don't think really is something that these women are going to be thinking about. Certainly Jess Hull, if she wanted to have a crack at it, probably could get close, but leading into the Olympics, that might not be the #1 target here tonight. A good pace will be set, get them stretched out, I'm pretty sure. But let's see who takes it on once we get through this first 2-3 laps. And it's an odd, the 2K, because unlike the 1,500, you almost wait for 3 laps for the race to start, which is a little bit unusual. You know, 1,500, after 600-700 meters, you're starting to think about getting yourself ready for the finish. So Martine Guerrero's gone out quickly behind her, and McLean behind her as well. That's interesting that Guerrero's slotted into second there. Not sure she was expecting to be in that position, because McLean, who's the second pacemaker, is effectively in third.
Yes, she is. 64 second laps, by the way, will bring them round in that 5:21 world record. But that is going some. And Guerrero, the second pacemaker, McLean just behind her, and Jess Hull. Be interesting to see how well she recovered after last week, and I agree. I think Faith Kipyegon has to thank Jess Hull for her contribution to that wonderful world record last week.
And just to give you an idea, you know, there's only 8 women have ever run under 5:30. I mean, the world record is 5:21, but you know, anything in the 5:20s here will be very, very good. You're right; it's not run that often. But it's a race which you have to respect. You have to respect the distance. It doesn't sound like, you know, it's loads more. It's not a 3K, but you have to respect that. So decent pace being set, just beyond, just under 64 for the first lap. The others, Hull and others, were probably a tad over, which is fine. In fact, 64.2 for the Australian. Griffith, her teammate, a little further back in the field, and that's often not a bad tactic when you're stringing out like this in a longer race. Just watch what happens in the first couple laps, because if the pacemakers start to struggle with the pace a little, it'll concertina up.
Well, they're strung out, aren't they? So this is a hard pace here. McGeehan with a little gap behind her, Jess Hull there, and the McLean looking pretty comfortable just in front. But there's a group now of, what, 5, and then a smaller group just behind that chasing.
It's an interesting position for Jess Hull. She's never really been in this in her career. You know, she's elevated herself into medal contender for the Olympic Games, breaking national records, running all-time fast races. And it means that everyone else looks at her in a different way. They look to her to dictate the race, to determine what's going to happen. You're the one to beat here. So Guerrero there may well have been asked to help out. It's a little unusual to see her running this hard at the front, which effectively she is there now. McLean with the pace. So Hull is already pulling well away from everyone else, and that's just because of the pace. 2:08, 2:39 there through 1,000 meters, so it's spot on for a good, solid pace. It's all about what happens in the latter stages now.
Second lap was 64, so metronomic pacemaking so far. We're down to Guerrero as the second pacemaker, but McLean and Hull, you can see they're absolutely going with this pace, and then the gap between them and the rest of Corey and McGee chasing is getting bigger and bigger as they come round in front of us with 2 to go.
Well, this pacing has taken them right on the world record schedule. Jess Hull, with help here, is going to be miles ahead of everybody else, and it's really up to her here now as to how fast she wants to go. She's never won a Diamond League, had a great opportunity in Oslo in the 3,000 meters, felt as though she didn't execute well on the last lap. She went a little bit too early, kicked too early, was beaten by a teammate, and McLean, though, doing a great job of helping her here. Now, McLean said she wants to get to a mile, get her to 4 laps. Just looks as though she's slowing a little bit at this point, but Guerrero did a wonderful job, and McLean with Hull clicking her heels now, and they're watching that light just go a little further away, just slowing a tad bit, but Hull is thinking, okay, if I'm gonna go, I might as well go now. It's a long way from home here. That's through 1,500 meters. It was about 4.2, 4.3 perhaps. So it's about Jess Hull on the clock now.
Yes, it is, into the last 400 and bits, and it's on her own now, Jess Hull. Let's keep an eye on the clock at the bell. 4:16 and bits, 4:16. And the target is 5:21, remember. This is going to be tough, but she's capable of doing it.
She's more than capable. Jess is stronger than she's ever been before. She's been training in St. Moritz. First time she's done a big block of altitude training in the middle of the season. That paid off so well in Paris. She is leaving the field behind. She's leaving the lights behind. And she's leaving the current record behind at this stage. 5:21 is what we're looking for. She's well on schedule for that. A tough last 200 meters ahead, it always is when you're running this far. The Australian is about 50 meters ahead of everybody else. The crowd are on their feet. It's a rarely run distance, but this is how to do it. It's been set up beautifully for Jess Hull. This will be a moment that she will remember for the rest of her life. As she comes down the home straight, the fireworks have already been set off, and why not? She's tired, but she's driving on. Watch the clock here. She's going to smash the world record. 5:19.7 for Jess Hull. A great scrap behind Jabitok, and Courtney Bryant there for second and third. Courtney Bryant maybe just got it. Well, life just gets better for Jess Hull. Coached by her dad, made the change last year, had trained in America for so long, University of Oregon, been in the system over there, decided she needed to get to the next level to make some changes, went back home. Goodness me, has it paid off. Was disappointed not to get a medal at the World Indoor Championships, was in great shape there, and has taken that to the outdoor season. And I'm not sure in her wildest dreams, you can see all those national records for, as we said, a rarely run distance, but I'm not sure in her wildest dreams she could imagine 3:50 for 1,500 meters on Sunday in Paris, and then follows it up with a world record at the 2 kilometers, and that's a very good time. That was solid running. I was looking at it, thinking she needs to run a 65 in bits last lap. She ran 64, 64, 64, 64, 5 laps, almost identical. Exceptional.
And if you're going to win your first Diamond League race of your career, it's not bad to add a world record when you do it. What an evening, what a week for Jess Hull. 3:50 in Paris last weekend, shaving huge amounts off her 1,500 meter best. And, well, we just wondered whether this was maybe a little bit ambitious coming so soon. Many athletes, don't they, drop down a distance rather than go up slightly, but she's proved us all wrong, really. And Jess Hull, what an evening, and the crowd played their part. And you're right, she didn't just sneak under. She's taken a good chunk off that. And just to say, the previous holder of that record, Francine Niensaba, had held that 2,000 meter world record since 2021. No longer. Phenomenal.
World records, 6 other national records, and another area record behind for South America, Fernandez of Uruguay. But at the front, 5:19.7 world record for Jess Hull. This doesn't happen to many athletes in their career, so for her, a really special moment. Courtney Bryant on the dip just by 1/100th of a second, got second from Japitok, both of them in new national records.
Dad'll be pleased.
He'll be delighted, I'm pretty sure.